Happy December to you, sir.
December it is.
December
Wow,
2nd. We
man,
were just talking the other night. I can't believe, I told you when we were leaving the game last night that I can't believe it's already December.
isn't that crazy?
It's insane. I
It
mean,
is.
the year went January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, and then all of a sudden it's fucking December.
Yeah, the last couple of months have definitely flown by. In the last 2 weeks of November, holy shit.
No kidding.
Yeah,
I know. And it's my busy season at work too. And it's like the beforehand it started to fly by, and now I'm concerned that now the busy season's here. It's gonna stop. But
oh, I think it's
um
probably a triple in time for you. You're going to be working your butt off.
Yeah, I'll be working 6 days a week here, starting not tomorrow, but next week, next Monday. So
Well, welcome to your first Christmas as a FedEx driver.
yeah, it's gonna be something for sure.
That'll be good.
Um, but
FedEx, FedEx
how
over UPS, by the way.
uh we don't need to get into that.
Okay.
Um, there's some things about it that I'm not a fan of, but you know
I,
what? That's for a different story for a different podcast.
that's probably true.
Um, how was your Thanksgiving?
It was very nice. I had
Nice.
Thanksgiving late. I had on Thanksgiving Day, watched movies, um, made homemade pizza, and just totally chilled. And then did Thanksgiving on Saturday.
Right on.
Cooked for like 16 people.
Cool.
Had to borrow tables and dishes and silverware from the golf course, and my boss was kind enough to let me do so. So that was nice.
Very nice. Very nice.
How was yours?
Good, nice and chill. Just went to
Yeah,
the lady's family's house for a couple hours and had some turkey and all that good stuff and hung out for a while and then came back home and hit that turkey coma and got ready for bed
nice. Did you
because
get leftovers at all?
I had to work at
Oh,
7:30
that's
the next
right.
morning.
That's right. You did not get the day after Thanksgiving off like a lot of people.
Mm-mm. No, no leftover. Well, we had some leftovers, some pumpkin pie, and then I'm finishing up eating some like rolls and stuff right now too. But uh, other than that, no leftovers. But I
All
definitely am
right.
still craving some turkey. I won't lie.
Hey, turkey's pretty good. I just finished the turkey off today.
Yeah, it is pretty good. I still got to make that ham that I have in the freezer too.
Oh yeah, I cooked. I still got a little bit of that left too. I used that at Thanksgiving time.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So, pretty good week for the boys, huh? They're kind of on a little heater again.
They are 6 in a row now.
Six in a row. Yeah. I mean, can't really ask for much better than what you've got in the last 3 or 4 games, especially.
Yeah,
I mean, ever since that game against Everett, they've just looked like a completely different team, pretty much like the team we saw at the start of the season. And God, I gotta tell you, man, beating Portland back-to-back nights, it warms my heart. It makes me feel so good.
yeah. Boy, you were like giddy last night at the game.
Oh, I love beating Portland so much. I was telling Brandon when I was leaving the game on Saturday, I said, I love beating Portland more than I love beating Tri-City. I don't care about
Me
Tri-City
too.
anymore. I mean, it's sure it's fun beating Tri-City too, but like if we beat Portland, I don't give a shit about Tri-Cities.
Yeah, exactly.
I
Exactly.
mean, I mean it's something that the Chiefs struggled to do for quite a long time, even the years when they were good and
Right.
the late 2018, 2019, 2020s. I mean, still struggled to beat Portland, and then now seeing Portland kind of having a little bit of a more down year so far, which I wouldn't be shocked if that ends up changing at some point.
It's
But
not. It's not going to last.
I
They'll come on after Christmas and they'll be right there.
I feel like I was kind of thinking the other night, it's they're probably not used to playing without Johnson behind the bench too. I feel like
No,
that might have a little bit of an effect on it for
yeah, and I
sure.
told you last night at the game. I said it's not quite as satisfying for me Spokane beating them because he's not on the bench, and it looks odd to me not seeing him on the bench too.
Hmm.
That guy's been on the bench for as long as we've been into hockey.
Yeah, he's been out there for quite a while, but
Yeah,
he's been with Portland forever.
yeah,
I mean, he had that brief stint in the NHL with Pittsburgh, and then I guess what was it Crosby didn't like him or whatever, so
yeah.
they
He got
fired him. Yeah, so they came back down to Portland and just built an absolute powerhouse of a team.
yeah,
Cheater.
yeah.
But I just gotta reiterate it now how much I love beating Portland. And to Portland fans out there, I don't care how you feel about that.
Yeah, well, I know how you
Yes,
feel.
I am entertained.
Yes, you are entertained. Thanks, Jim.
That's my favorite. That is my favorite. But we had one game before those two games this weekend against the Winterhawks. Played Wednesday night, day before Thanksgiving, against Kamloops. Um, uh, I mean, picked up right where they left off on Saturday against Vancouver too. Just
Yes.
Are you looking to improve your golf game in 2025? Look no further than Golf by Gun. Golf by Gun specializes in individual lessons, small group sessions for 2 to 3 people, and even corporate events to enhance your networking skills on the green. In addition, couples golf lessons are a perfect way to bond with your partner while mastering your swings together. Here's an exclusive offer for our listeners. If you mention Chiefs Central, you will get $10 off your first lesson. That's right, $10 off your first lesson. Take your game to new heights and enjoy the sport you love even more. Follow Golf by Gun on Instagram and Facebook for tips and updates, or reach out via email at golfbygun@gmail.com. See you on the course.
boys are looking hot lately, and one thing that I wanted to really bring attention to is our special teams have just taken a complete
Yeah.
182.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Both both ends.
yeah, our power play's been absolutely incredible, and our penalty kill has been really good too. Watching the last two games, what I love seeing that we've talked about these guys wanting them to do this for the last couple of seasons, but they just haven't done it. Once you get the puck on your stick, it doesn't matter. Turn and shoot it down the ice.
Yes.
Don't hold it and try to look for an open lane to dump it. Just turn and shoot it. Shoot
Yeah.
it off the board, shoot it off the glass, shoot it in the air, whatever.
Get rid.
And they've been doing that consistently the
Yeah.
last 4 or 5 games. And look what happened. We have almost nearly a perfect penalty kill in those games.
Yeah. That's pretty crazy.
It's great. And then our
Just
power play's been hot too.
just a small little change in the PK, and it makes all the difference in the world.
No, yeah, seriously. And it's nice seeing everybody, all four lines kind of show up too. And Berkeley Catton's catching another stride right now. Definitely helps a lot
Yes,
too.
he is.
Getting Van Olm back in the lineup this weekend was huge. He had a huge weekend.
Yeah. They didn't need him on Wednesday, but yeah.
No, give him a game off. Berkeley Catton a goal and 2 assists on Wednesday. Obviously, that seems to be kind of a nightly occurrence for him. Smith Redmond had a good game.
Yes, he did.
I think he's looked really solid the last handful of games during this winning streak too. 2 goals and an assist on Wednesday, and Mathis Preston continued to impress as a 16-year-old with a goal and an assist. Kamloops got out to the early lead, but then it was pretty much all Chiefs after that. Catton scored one midway through the first period, and then in the first 10 minutes of the second, Redmond got one, and then Ekstrom got another one. And then nice to see Austin Ali Sarkinov continuing to score too when he's out there. He played Wednesday and Friday, was out of the lineup Saturday. Boyle was saying on the radio that he got a little bit banged up, but obviously we have an abundance of forwards right now too, so it could just been like a healthy scratch situation too. So who knows?
I wouldn't have expected that after the game he had. Yeah.
Yeah, I was a little confused by it too. So I don't want to say I'm hoping that it was just giving him a night off because he maybe got a little banged up,
Yeah.
but I mean, with the way that fourth line was on Friday, I mean, it was that fourth line could have been our top line easily with how
Yeah.
good they played. I mean, the forecheck was incredible. Parr, Sarkinov, and Poppy are just hounding the puck all night. And I mean, they got us on the board in the second period, kind of put us back up by two. Sarkinov with a nice tip of I think it was a Will McIsaac shot from the point, and then but yeah, I mean, the fourth line is contributing no matter who you put out there on it too. I mean, those guys just work their tails off every game, whether
Yeah.
it's Sarkey or Parr or
That's what you
Tebow.
want from your fourth line. They're doing their job for sure.
Well, and I was telling you last night, I was like, every single time that we either A, score or give up a goal, immediately after the fourth line goes out. It doesn't matter.
Right.
Keep that energy going and
Yeah.
he knows Lauer knows that those guys are going to produce that energy that we need.
Yeah.
And because we saw on Saturday specifically, first 15 minutes or so of the period, we came out and Portland was absolutely flying by us and wheeling by us, and we weren't playing any sort of physical game, letting them kind of walk all over us. And Portland jumped out to an early 2-0 lead, and I was mentioning to you um, that if we didn't get one before the end of the period, then we were going to
Yeah.
lose for sure. And then, obviously what happened a minute later was great.
Yeah.
Um, but going back to Wednesday, my pea brain memory is trying to recall it after all the turkey that I've had
It's
this
funny that you
past
say
couple of
that
days.
because right before we started this pod, I was thinking, man, I can think of Saturday and Sunday's games.
Uh-huh.
I cannot think of Wednesday. I couldn't remember that we played Kamloops until you mentioned it a minute ago.
Yeah. Other than get picking up the 6-2 win, and um the one thing that I do remember is Leighton Feist for Kamloops took, I think, 3 or 4
He
minor
took a lot of
penalties.
penalties.
That was one thing that I could think of, but other than that, I mean, it was just a typical game where the Chiefs ended up picking up a 6-2 win over Kamloops, who kind of dominated us the first time we played them up in Kamloops
They
this year.
did.
So it's good to see that they can bounce back against this team that you haven't played in about a month or so.
Yeah.
And then obviously Thursday off with American Thanksgiving, and then big weekend with back-to-back home games against Portland on Saturday, Sunday. Portland played Kelowna on Wednesday. I think it was up in Kelowna, and then they played at home against Kelowna on Friday. So Portland had a 3-3. So coming in, they're going to be a
Oh,
little
I
bit.
didn't know that.
Yeah, Portland was going to be a little bit tired coming in. Obviously, no excuse. They Saturday they looked like we did last year. I mean, the Portland just looked so flat,
That,
and the
that is not
Chiefs.
normal to see Portland like that.
No, and that's kind of what made me think of the Mike Johnston factor too. It's like
Yeah.
I feel like with when he was behind the bench, whether they came out early and they were looking sluggish or whatever he would say or do to get them going would completely flip their game around for the remainder of the game, and that just hasn't been seen again. I mean, the 3 games that I've seen against Portland this year, they come out flat, and it kind of stays that way consistently through the end of the game. They are dealing with some injuries too, which obviously doesn't help them at all, but it's nice to see that the Chiefs are able to take advantage of them looking as sluggish as they did.
Hmm.
I mean, it was a complete 60 minutes by the boys on Saturday, out shooting Portland 48-26 on the night.
That's huge.
Um, 18 shots in the second, 19 shots in the third. Dawson Cowan I mean, he only made 25 saves or whatever, but he was lights out. He made some absolutely unbelievable saves in the first period because first period is the only period that Portland actually kind of looked okay, in my opinion. They put up 14 shots, and it definitely could have easily been a 2-2 game after the first period if it wasn't for Cowan. He made some huge saves,
Hmm.
which is obviously what you expect from your number one guy, and uh, he's been up to the task all year. Chiefs winning the faceoff battle 37-26 in the game too. 4 for 5. Wait, 4 for 5 on the penalty kill, and 1 for 6 on the power play in the game. I mean, just a great all around 60-minute effort. I went down and sat on the glass for the third period, and um, got to kind of selly with the boys after they scored a couple of goals down
Nice.
there. It was pretty fun, and um, holding up my sign for Guzzo on the glass.
Gotta love that.
Love
You look a
messing with
little
that
bit
guy.
like Tony with that little
Hey,
mustache.
don't say that. Don't say that.
Sorry.
I'll go get rid of it right now.
Yeah, well, you might need to.
I know. Uh, One player that I think really stood out a lot these last 3 or 4 games, Sam Oremba.
He's
Once
coming
he
out.
once he got that first one, he's
Yeah.
really kind of come out of his shell and he's starting to pick up his offensive game. You can see that he's getting more confident too, battling in front of the net, getting into those like post whistle scrums and everything
Yeah, he's
too.
got
And
some more grit to him, definitely. I was
I,
thinking that last night, actually.
yeah, and that's I mean, little things like that can kind of get you going too and get your whole team going.
Yeah.
And obviously it's going to get the fans going too. So Good, love seeing that from a guy that you have big expectations for when you made the
Yeah,
trade for him
that's why
too.
you got him. Yeah, he's just finally settling in and doing very well with it this last week.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. I mean, we talked about it last week, but man, I love that second line with
Yeah.
Rasmus and Smith Redmond and Oremba. I mean, just
Speaking well,
great line.
speaking of somebody who's been playing very well the last 6 games or so, Ras.
Yeah, he has. He's been dynamite. And
Yeah,
like I've said, it's like once you move him back to his natural position at
yeah,
center,
yeah,
being on the second line and playing with two hardworking guys on your
yeah,
wings like Oremba and Redmond can really put you over the top too as that
yeah,
sniping center.
yeah,
Which is obviously we know how good he is. We know how quick his shot is and how hard his shot is.
yeah,
Smart with the puck, good hands. Also not afraid to get down and dirty and battle on the boards and the corners and stuff too. He's been looking absolutely fantastic lately too. So
yeah.
nice to see those guys kind of starting to heat up and be consistent too.
So glad he came back as a 20-year-old and an import.
Yeah, and you don't see that very often.
No, you don't.
And we've seen it twice in the last 5 or 6 years with
Yeah,
Rass and Philip Crawl and
yeah.
um
No, don't see it often. And to go back to Wednesday's game, while I'm thinking about it too, we said we so far back before our Thanksgiving, we couldn't
yeah.
really remember much. How about the nice bounce back game by Essler?
Yeah, very very nice game. He looked very very
He
good.
was solid.
He
Yeah,
was.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
just sitting here thinking back and actually remembering little bits and pieces finally from Wednesday's game.
Mhm. Yeah, no, it's nice to have a 1-2 goalie tandem that can be thrown in at any time too. And
Yeah,
obviously Dawson's the guy, but we were talking about it a little bit last week and having the 16-year-old with a guy like Cowan kind of, leading him and
yes,
getting him ready for being the starting role in a couple of seasons here soon too is going to be beneficial for him and his development. But yeah, very very nice bounce back game and uh hopefully see more out of that, more of that stuff out of him in
I hope
the
so.
rest of
Yeah,
the season. So, um, Sarkinov getting on the board yet again. Mathis Preston got the empty netter, and then Sarkinov got another goal with 9 seconds left in the third period on Saturday. Just again, the fourth line was just absolutely dynamite. Parr battling in the corner, kind of pinning it up against the boards, just trying to run the clock out because we already had a 4-1 lead. And then Sarky's out front, just stick tapping right in front of me. He's stick tapping, and Parr just turns and throws it to him, and he one times at 5-hole on Steb attack, and Chiefs end up picking up a 5-1 win. Sarky with 2 goals, looked great. Catton had a goal and an assist, looked great. Cowan was great. I mean, just a complete 60-minute effort. And honestly, what we came to expect from these guys from the first, 2 weeks of the season.
yeah. And having Shea back was nice too.
Yeah, definitely. Having Ulmer back out there on that line with Catton and Preston was huge. I think on Wednesday Harrington filled in on that line very
Yeah,
nicely,
he did.
and and even last night, with when Ulmer went off for his fight, Harrington filled in on
Mm-hmm.
that spot for the 5 minutes that he was in the box too, and I thought he did a great job there too. So I've been really impressed with Chase Harrington this year.
Yeah,
I've been impressed with a lot of the guys, the 17s and stuff too that played last year here and there, but Harrington's really taken a huge step up in his game, I
yeah.
think
I
too.
agree.
And him being on, some NHL draft rankings or
Mm-hmm.
central scouting rankings is got to be boosting him up a little bit too. And you can tell that he's ready to take his game to the next level, along with a lot of other guys that we picked up last year and early this year and everything too. They're kind of everybody's just kind of stepping up and playing their role, which is something that you need on a team that has the potential to be a contender.
Yeah,
So I really liked what I saw in those games Wednesday and Saturday. Obviously, it's going to be difficult winning back to back games, let alone back to back games against the same team and you're in the same barn. Like we touched on a little bit ago, we came out really really flat last night. Really tough, tough first 15 minutes or so.
mm-hmm.
Portland pretty much completely dominated. We weren't making tape to tape passes or anything, turning it over. Just not Chiefs hockey.
No,
And you could tell that once we got that first one back on the 4-on-4, that the tides had kind of turned already. Because like I was saying, I
Yeah.
was getting ready to tell you about 30 seconds before Sage scored that goal that we need to get one before the end of the period or we're going to lose the game. And then I didn't end up saying it, but then 30 seconds later got one in the back of the net and I was like, okay, anything can happen now. And then get a power play late in the period on a high stick. And well, great pass by Braden Crampton finding Van Olm, who just
Us.
opened up in the slot right on the tape and tipped it in past the backup goalie for Portland, who was playing last night. And it would go into the first intermission, tied at 2. I mean, trailing 2-0 with 3 minutes left in the first period, didn't really expect it to be tied going
I
in.
didn't. I no.
So
I didn't have that on my bingo card.
no, and I felt like that gave the boys a huge boost going into the locker room. And
It definitely came out that way in a second. It's totally different team.
well, and I don't know, did you listen to the post game show driving home last night?
Yeah.
And did you listen to like Shea's interview and stuff?
Yeah.
How he was talking about, they're in the locker room saying like, all right, like we know we need to play better than we did in the first half of the period. And we might be tied now, but we can't go back out playing the way that we did.
Yeah.
And like you said, they came out in the second period and it picked up right where they left off to end the period. Sam Oremba again staying hot.
Yeah.
Just a beautiful shot from the top of the circle on the power play. Um, Chiefs had a couple of power play goals last night, 2 for 5 on the power play. Like we were talking about, our special teams has been great lately.
Yeah. I'm good with 40% on a power play.
Oh, absolutely,
Yeah.
especially against Portland. Portland's the
Yeah.
second ranked penalty kill in the WHL right
Were they?
now. Uh-huh. Chiefs absolutely dominated in the faceoff dot again last night too, 42-26. And that's without your top guy and Owen Martin out there.
Mhm.
Still haven't heard any updates on what his injury is, but it's nice to see that they're still able and capable of winning these clutch faceoffs even without a
Mhm.
guy like that. I mean,
Mhm.
Rass is good in the dot, Catton's good in the dot. I mean, we got a handful of guys out there that can really
Pop
battle and
good
win.
in the dot.
Poppy's good in the dot, yeah. Um, let's see. Let me go back to my page here. So about a minute after Sam Oremba scored his seventh of the season, Kyle Chazowski picked up his first goal of the night and tied it back up about a minute later. So it's 3-3, about halfway through the game. So it's clean slate going into the last 30 minutes of the game. And the Chiefs kind of took back over from there. Owen Shetler, what a smart hockey play from that kid right there.
That was.
Um,
He's been playing good too. I mean,
like I said, all year, man, he's been so solid.
yeah.
He's been so solid, and that's another guy like Harrington who's taken a huge step up in his game from his 16-year-old year.
And you know how they got that? By playing a little bit last year.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's the kind of stuff that we're going to see in the next few years from Caden Allen and from Brett
Yep.
Sather
Yep.
and Cohen Harris, Dane Pyatt, all those guys. You're going
Yep.
to see a lot of stuff like that from those 16-year-olds this season and the next
Yep.
coming few seasons as well. But just a great, smart hockey play down behind the net. Just saw the goalie kind of start to slowly retract back toward the post and threw it off his back from behind the net and it went in. And I turned to you and said, I mean, that was just one hell of a play right there. That's
The play, yeah, for sure.
for a 17-year-old defenseman, that's a smart offensive play.
Yep.
So it was nice that, 4 minutes after giving up the game tying goal, we were able to take the lead back.
Mm-hmm.
And then 2.5 minutes later, Shea Van Olm breaks free on a breakaway and gets hauled down, takes a penalty shot. First penalty shot I think we've seen in person this year.
I think it is too.
But man, he came in so slow. It kind of reminded me of
Patty.
Evgeny Kuznetsov. When he comes in really slow and he'll just kind of like casually, like he's just like messing around with the puck, just coming real slow. And then he'll speed up really quick at the end and just fire it. I mean, that's exactly what it reminded me of, but it wasn't just the coming in and sniping it. He put on an unreal clinic of just little Patty Kane deeks right there.
Yeah, he did.
And then, absolutely undressed the goalie.
Yeah, and then he continued his move on the goalie with the move on the bench.
Yeah, what a selly too.
Coming in real slow and then speeding up.
What a selly too. That was the best part of his post-game interview last night with
Yes,
Boyle
it
too, and he
was.
was talking about that. He's talking about he's waiting for the boys to come and hug him, and then he goes, "Oh shit, there's nobody near me." And just I was Chloe and I are dying in the car listening to that.
Yeah.
Dude's a character. Um, but yeah, the Chiefs that gave us a 5-3 lead going into the second intermission, and then 3 minutes into the third period, Kyle McDonough scores for Portland to make it a one-goal game yet again, and then after that, it was all Chiefs. Berkeley Catton, again, what an unreal snipe from just an odd angle down by the Rockstar zone.
Do you know
Just
who that one reminded me of?
Patty Kane.
No, well, um, from watching World Juniors.
Oh, Zegras.
Yes.
Yeah, I know exactly what goal you're talking about.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. Though I mean, they're similar type players in all honesty, so
Yeah,
that doesn't surprise me. But I mean, just an unreal shot, and it ended up being kind of a huge goal too, with
it did.
giving up that one early in the third period, and then uh, the captain taking matters into his own hands and giving us
Hmm.
another two goal lead, and then Poppy puts the icing on the cake with the empty net with 30 seconds left, and the Chiefs pick up their second win in as many games against Portland. Guaranteed a season split with the series split with Portland.
Hmm.
So that we play them 6 times now, and so we've already played all three at home. So we don't get to see Portland at home the rest of the season,
Oh,
which I'm fine with.
yeah,
I
me too.
mean, beat them 3 times on home ice already. Let's go down there and do it to them in Portland.
There you go.
Um, what else was I gonna want to touch on with that game?
You know what I noticed that game, and you can tell me I didn't notice it Saturday or not. Was Redmond on the first power play line Saturday as well?
Yes,
Was he?
Redmond. The first power play is Catton, Crampton, Redmond, Ulmer, and
Right.
Rass.
Right. Yeah.
Rass. Yeah,
Grass. Yeah.
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 So, and that line has been a dynamite. And then,
Yeah.
even when Ulmer was out of the lineup, I thought Samuel Remba filled in really, really nicely on that first unit on the Wednesday game
Hmm.
against Kamloops.
Hmm.
He filled that role really nicely. That's
Hmm.
a guy that he's usually on the second power play line.
That's what I thought.
Um, but he filled in on the first line in that game, and I thought he did a hell of a job too.
Yeah.
So, just some really good stuff we're seeing from these guys right now.
Yeah. It was
I
definitely
thought
entertaining. Do you remember looking at me last night and going, "How much different is this than the last couple of
it's awesome, isn't it? It's
years?"
so much better.
Yeah.
Uh, and playing the back-to-back games with Sarkinov getting 2 goals on Saturday and stuff, and him not being in the lineup, I was a little bit concerned, just almost PTSD like from years past with guys coming into the lineup after not playing for a couple of games and maybe not fitting into the line as much as the
Hmm.
other guy who's sitting out. Cohen Harris came in and he did his job and he looked
Yeah.
great. I think he's looked great all year.
God, he was so fast last night.
That kid's got wheels.
Yeah.
I remember I turned to you at one point. This is I know that we have an abundance of forwards, and I know that he's only 16, but I want him playing every game
Exactly.
because with that speed and he's got good hands too. I think that's a guy that could really kind of show off in the next couple of years,
Me
along
too.
with Preston and those guys like that, Ozzie McIntyre. I've been really impressed with him in the games that he's played this year. So, um, yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how long we end up keeping all these guys that we have that are just being healthy scratched every night
Hmm.
too, and seeing how other players' ice time gets affected by that. So
Yeah.
it is good that you can have one guy sit out and have another guy fill in that spot, and just kind of looks like nothing really changed too. So
Yeah.
that was definitely reassuring and something that the Chiefs fans aren't used to seeing from these guys either. So definitely a positive, but I thought overall it was pretty close to as about a perfect of a weekend as you can get.
Pretty good.
Any closing thoughts on the recaps?
No, it was very, very fun to watch for sure. It's makes me. I mean, we talked about this with Tri Cities last week too. It makes me a little nervous for the Christmas break coming up.
Yeah,
But
I agree.
at the same time, I don't see much changing either.
No, I don't either. I think that I think that we're pretty much set with our personnel at least.
Hmm.
except I still would not hate to see us pick up a puck moving defenseman because
Hmm.
that seems to be kind of our one flaw that still kind of gets us a little bit is
Hmm.
turnovers at our own zone when we're trying to get the puck out. Just too much fancy work and kind of just blind passes that get picked off
Yeah.
way too easily. I think having a puck moving defenseman again, like we talked about a few weeks ago, with like a Noah King type player
Hmm.
or Nolan Reed type player,
Hmm.
something like that, somebody that can just get the puck out and not afraid to skate it out on his own too. Just a 18, 19-year-old veteran guy. I think that the Chiefs could really benefit from picking up a guy like that. But that being said, with Mays being out, I think Brett Sather and Caden Allen have looked
They have.
immensely better the last couple of games too. They're getting more ice time and um that's kind of like what we were talking about a little
Yeah.
bit ago. Shetler too. It's like, he benefited from playing those minutes last year. These
Hmm.
guys are going to be benefiting a ton from playing these minutes this year.
Yeah. I agree.
Um,
I agree. Do we want to talk about, speaking of trades and everything? We want to talk about what went down today?
my goodness. I feel like the last few years we've been seeing these uh crazy trades more so than in, years past. Cause I know the OHL, they have like that they didn't have like a rule for a long time where you could trade any number of
Yeah.
prospects or picks or whatever. You never saw that in the WHL until a couple years ago. I want to say with like the Logan Stankoven, or
Hmm.
not Logan Stankoven, Zellweger from Everett
Hmm.
went to Kamloops, and that was a massive trade. But then, yeah, today, let me pull that up. Actually, that's a
I
good
can't
idea.
believe what they gave for two players.
I mean that's and Lethbridge is a hell of a team too, and
Yes.
obviously we know who they're coached by.
Yes.
Um, but I hadn't really heard much about them this year, but obviously they feel like that they're good enough to compete and be in the
Hmm.
mix for making a run. And yeah, I mean they're in seventh place in the Eastern Conference right now, and they're making moves like that. So that shows how confident the general
Hmm.
manager is in the team and how confident Bill Peters is in that team
Yep.
too. Um, where was that news? Let's see. So it was between Lethbridge and Moose Jaw.
Yeah.
Braden Yeager and Jackson Unger, the goaltender from Moose Jaw and their star sniper forward, traded to the Lethbridge Hurricanes. Where's the whole trade here? They got those two players in exchange for a quote from the WHL, a massive package in return.
Yes.
Um, 18-year-old forward Landon Ward, 19-year-old netminder Brady Smith, 15-year-old prospect Colt Carter, two first-round picks in 2025 and 2028, a second-round pick in 2028, a third-round pick in 2025, a fourth-round pick in 26, and a fifth-round pick in
Isn't
26
that
for
crazy?
Braden Yeager and Jackson Unger. I mean, hats off to their GM for having the balls to pull that trade off,
Yeah,
especially in the first half of the season.
exactly.
I mean, that's showing a lot of confidence in your team, and it's little things like that too that can fire your team up even more too. That they have the management has that belief in you too.
Yeah, it was crazy when you sent me that thing earlier this morning. Somebody was reporting that something big was about to go down in the Eastern Conference, and you're kind of
Yeah,
what it is. And holy cow!
I'm almost waiting to see if what U.S. division teams are going to be making any crazy moves like that.
Yeah,
Um, I don't like I said I don't think the Chiefs necessarily need to do that.
no,
I think that I feel like the teams that do that kind of feel like their window is now in the next
right?
year or two. I feel like the Chiefs kind of aren't in at that stage
No,
right
I
now
agree.
where they can compete and be consistently solid for, another 5, 6 years.
Yes.
So I don't think that we need to be making any sort of moves like that. I could see an Everett maybe making a move like that. I could see Tri City making a move like that. Bob
Hmm.
Torrey's not shy of making
No, he's
moves like
not.
that. Um, I honestly even Portland. I could see Portland doing something like that too.
Mike Johnston knows what he's doing when he's in behind that GM mask. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I mean and that's his primary focus this year too, is
Yeah.
being the general manager and everything. So, um, But that being said, with the Team Canada camp rosters getting announced today, I did see that Mike Johnson is going to be the assistant
I
coach for
saw
Team
that too.
Canada.
Yeah.
Um, so hopefully he's not going to be cheating there too. But
Well,
that's none of my
Team
business.
Canada could use some of that right now with some of the
He,
stuff that's
yeah,
going on the last couple of years.
yeah, definitely. But yeah, seeing some of those teams buying is this early in the season is pretty crazy. And I know that there's still a couple of players on a couple of different teams that aren't going to be in it or kind of pretty far out of it in their rebuilding mode and everything that could be looking to get shipped out. So I think, the next couple of months could be a pretty fun with like the trade deadline and all that stuff. I can't believe I'm talking about the trade deadline already, but
It's coming up
uh,
quick. It's only a little over a month away.
I think it's like the 10th of
Yeah, 10th
January
January. Yeah.
or roughly somewhere around there. But yeah, I mean, just an absolutely crazy trade, and um, it's going to be fun to see kind of what other teams make moves like that in the next few months and next few weeks and everything too. I feel like trades have been batshit crazy lately in the
Yeah.
WHL, so I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, crazy stuff. Just
Yeah.
I like following those reporters and pages on Twitter and stuff too
Yes.
that follow the WHL closely and
They're on
everything.
top
Like
of it.
John Keane,
John Kane's really good.
The Kamloops radio play-by-play guy, and
Yeah.
I had a nice little conversation with him on Twitter the other day, talking about the Memorial Cup and everything too, and uh, I was kind of claiming this was like 10 minutes before they announced Kelowna is getting the Memorial
Mhm.
Cup, but he was making the case that he thinks it was going to either be down to Medicine Hat or Kelowna, and I said I commented on it and said, I'm a little bit surprised that I don't see a lot of more people talking about Spokane's potential. And then I named off like my reasons for saying that,
Mhm.
with the hotels and the facilities and the players that we have and our fans. And he said, yeah, Spokane's definitely absolutely still in the mix. I'd say the only thing that is deterring their chances is the fact that it was hosted in the States in Saginaw last year,
Yeah.
which I feel like that was kind of the only downside. Um, but I mean, I will say Kelowna deserves it after getting it in 2020 and then having it kind of ripped away with the pandemic.
Yeah. I agree.
Um, and I think that they're more capable now of putting out a better roster than they had back then too. And they have time to build it now. So I wouldn't be shocked to see Kelowna making any crazy
They're,
moves in the next few months too.
yeah. I agree.
And with having TG Ginley, Andrew Crystal, and stuff like that. Um, so yeah, obviously we're a little bit bummed that the Chiefs didn't get it, but Kelowna is only 4.5 hours away from Spokane.
True.
And I told TC right away. I said, Chiefs make a push next year, make it to the Cup. We're going.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
taking time off work. I'm going. I found my passport today. I'm good. So, but yeah, congrats to Kelowna. I mean, they deserve it after not getting to host in 2020, obviously because of
Yeah.
COVID and everything. But that's another thing that I'm glad that just kind of ended up coming up in conversation that I wanted to talk about, but had forgotten about. So, um, do you have anything before I do the other
No.
announcements here and everything? Um, as I was talking about a little bit ago, 12 WHL players to attend Canada's national junior team selection camp, including Berkeley Catton.
Well
No
deserved.
shock, absolutely no shock. I'm a
I
little
figure
bit.
he'll probably be one of the captains. I would think too.
I would think so too. There was a couple of players that got snubbed and didn't get selected that I was a little
Yes.
bit surprised about.
Yeah.
TG Ginla being one,
I was really shocked at that.
Carter Yakimchuk being another one.
Too. Those were the two
Uh,
that caught me the most off guard.
it's a little bit surprising to me, especially with Yakimchuk being kind of the shutdown D man that he is. TJ Ginla, I was reading a couple of things yesterday about how with who they selected as Canada's coaches, they're going to be playing a different style than the type of game that Iginla plays. So they
Mm-hmm.
felt like he was kind of going to be like the odd man out in this situation. But I
Really?
still thought that seventh overall pick, just a
Yeah.
pure sniper. Why would you not want him in your
Exactly.
lineup? And I'm still a little bit confused by that. So obviously I think he's probably pretty high on the list of guys that could be replacements for injuries
Yes.
or whatever. But Awesome to see another Chief representing Canada. It's been a few years.
Yes, it has.
So, like you said, I think he's got the potential to be a captain for sure. Other than Catton in the WHL, we have Karsten Bjarnson from Brandon, Scott Ratzlaff from Seattle, Harrison Brunick from Kamloops, Tanner Mollendijk from Saskatoon, Sawyer Minio from Seattle, Caden Price from Kelowna, Andrew Crystal from Kelowna, Riley Height, Prince George, Tanner Howe from Calgary, Gavin McKenna from Medicine Hat, and Braden Yeager from not Moose Jaw anymore,
Not Moose Jaw
from
anymore.
Lethbridge. So awesome stuff, and I'm definitely looking forward to watching
Yeah, me too.
Catton out there. I that that Watching his game develop this year. I mean, he started off pretty slow coming back from the Kraken's training camp, but he's really turned it on the last three or
Yeah,
4 weeks or so, and um,
seems to be finding a groove.
just such a fun guy to watch night in, night out. So we took some questions again. Didn't get too many responses today. I kind of posted it a little bit later than I usually do, but still got a few to answer. I posted on Instagram too, and if you wanted to go and look on the post that I made, there was one question on there, and then I believe I got a reply to my story on Instagram from a Cosmo that I unfortunately
Did you?
cannot go look at without turning my camera off. So
Okay, well,
if you can remember what Mr. Kramer said.
I can think what Cosmo Kramer might have said. Yes. Let me find Chief Central here.
My heat's finally starting to kick in.
What's the from Bongo McRib again, same as last week on Instagram. What's your forecast for our meetup with the Wenatchee Wild this weekend?
I think so. We play Wenatchee twice this weekend, I believe. I think
Yeah,
we go.
Friday and Saturday.
Yeah, I
Home.
say we go, it's a home and home. Wenatchee's playing pretty good lately. They just had a home and home with Tri Cities. Lost the first game in Wenatchee with a late goal with like 9 seconds left. Tri City picked up a 4-3 win, but then they went down to Tri City last night and beat them five, or maybe it was Saturday night. They beat them 5-2 down in
Oh,
Tri
did they?
City. Um, Don Knockbar, another former Chief head coach of Wenatchee, and they've been playing some good hockey lately too. So I feel like it's going to be a lot more competitive than some fans might think, and I almost think that that could be kind of a test for these guys too.
Mm-hmm.
Being on a 6 game winning streak and beating a good teams like Everett and Portland. I think that playing a team like Wenatchee that we know we're pretty far ahead of in the standings right now too, but they're playing good lately. I think that Wenatchee has the chance to kind of humble us a little bit. So I think that we need to come out and play with an extra step than we even did this past weekend too.
Yeah. No, I could see it being a split actually.
Yeah, me too. Um, I mean, they got some good young talent. And they have Daniel Hauser in net. I think that if the Chiefs can go out early and pick up a goal in the first period and play their usual physical game, then I don't think we're going to have any issues. Um, Obviously, Saturday we have the Teddy Bear toss against Wenatchee, so we're going to want to score early, kind of get fired up early. But then, hypothetical, we score early, 3-4 minutes into the game, get the Teddy Bears out of the way. Can't take your foot off the gas pedal either. Um, Obviously, everybody wants to score the Teddy Bear goal.
Yeah.
So they're going to be kind of playing with an extra step and an extra level of intensity, but you got to continue to play that way for a full 60 too. You can't just play one period in this league.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be a good matchup. Last couple of years it's been pretty even back and forth. Last meeting the Chiefs beat Wenatchee 6-3, and the third game of the season. So 5-5 split between these guys all time since they moved to Wenatchee. So I think it's going to be a good matchup.
Yeah, me too. Me too. All right. Cosmo Kramer wants to know, tied to your Berkeley Cat and Tom Enbar World Juniors. Who do you think is going to blossom in Catton's absence? Who's going to kind of take that step forward?
I think so. We're going to be without our top line center. I'm going to say they're going to put, if Owen Martin's back, I could see him filling that spot
Mm-hmm.
on the top line. I could see him kind of taking an extra step and playing a little bit higher up. Mathis Preston, I think, is really going to shine too.
Hmm.
Obviously, him and Catton shine well when they're together, just the natural chemistry
Agreed.
that they have. But I think Preston, with Catton being gone, I think Preston is going to know that he's got the most overall skills out of anybody on the team,
Yeah.
and he's going to try to take advantage of that. The only thing is that with that is he's got to remember that it's not an individual game.
Yeah.
So I think that if he can take that step and become the guy, even if it's temporary for a couple of weeks while Catton's gone, I think that that's a guy that you got to watch out for.
Yeah. I agree. That he's my pick too.
Yeah. But I think Owen Martin could make a difference. I think Rask could.
I think Harris could step up too.
Yeah, I do too. And Harrington maybe even filling up on that line as well. So
Yeah.
some fun stuff to look out for. Again, the Chiefs have some great young talent, and it'd be fun to watch Cat in the World Juniors and watching the Chiefs hopefully come off to a good second half of the season.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah, those are the only two questions from Instagram. Uh, we got a question on Facebook that we've been talking about the last couple of weeks and hearing more and more things the last few days. Nothing definitive or anything either, but where's Matthew Edwards? Why doesn't the team skate down? And then why doesn't the team skate down and high five our goalie after a goal?
Interesting.
So with Edwards, I I had heard that he was in warmups yesterday.
Yes.
Obviously we don't get there early enough to watch warmups a lot of the time. So I didn't see that myself, but um, he's been healthy scratched for 6 or 7 games now, not on the injury reports or anything. But then I did notice last night that when they were announcing the scratches and everything for the game, he wasn't even announced by
Yeah.
our PA
Yeah.
announcer. So I like I've been saying, like if I was him as a 19-year-old, I wouldn't want to be sitting in the stands every game.
No.
I mean, obviously we with the guys that we have and our forwards and everything, we have to sit somebody, but don't just make him ride the pine all the time. I feel like it's time that we either get him in the lineup for a couple of games or we trade him or release him or something.
Yeah. I agree.
Because I it's getting to the point where I feel bad for the kid
Me
now.
too.
Um, and I guess we'll have to wait and see. I think the weekly report comes out tomorrow, so I'll see if there's any change in anything with him. But other than that, that's kind of all I heard. I haven't really seen him even walking around the concourse or anything. So who
Me
knows if
either.
he? I mean, so, we were told that he was in warm-ups last night, so he's with the team.
Hmm.
But I don't know. Your guess is as good as ours. Just put it that
Exactly.
way. And then we were also asked what our predictions for who's going to score the teddy bear goal on Saturday.
Oh,
So before I make my pick, I'll say I really liked what Van Olm said on the
me
radio
too.
last night when he was asked about teddy bear goal, who he
Yeah.
thought was going to do it.
Yeah.
And he said that he would like to see Caden Allen or Rhett Sather get their first goal as a teddy bear goal.
Yeah.
And I just think that's just it's a little thing like that that can go a long way with being a leader on your
Oh,
team.
yeah.
I mean that was pretty cool to hear, and
Yeah. It was.
I always love it when they interview Ulmer on the radio. Him and Boiler got some good natural chemistry going there too.
They do.
So, but yeah, I mean, obviously I would love to see that too. But what's your pick? Who do you think's gonna
I
get
think
it?
it's the man that was you're just talking about on the post game show. I think it's going to be Van All.
I think he's got the potential too. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna put it past Catton either.
No.
Um, but I'll go a little off the rails and say I'm gonna say Smith Redmond gets it.
Nice.
I
I
think
think
he's
you better choose him.
I think he's played really, really well lately, and he definitely deserves scoring a big time goal like that. Um,
Yep.
Also, wouldn't be shocked to see Martin get it 2 years in a row if he ends up coming back in the lineup too. So
Mm-hmm.
either way, it's going to be fun stuff. We got a lot of hockey against the U.S. division coming up the next couple of days. We got home and homes with Wenatchee, and then Sunday in Seattle. So we have our first 3-3 this weekend as well. This next
It'll be a good
weekend.
test.
And then off for another 5 days, and then back in Seattle on Friday the 13th, and then back home in Spokane the following night on the 14th against Prince George, which will be a huge game as well.
Yeah.
And then we make our first trip down to Portland on Tuesday the 17th.
Nice.
And I believe that is our last game of the
I
first
think so.
half. Or maybe there's one more on the 23rd. Let me look. Nope, that's our last game of the first half. And then the second half kicks off at the Spokane Arena against another home and home with Wenatchee on Friday the 27th, and then
Nice.
back in Wenatchee the next night. So lots of hockey against the U.S. division coming up. These are crucial games for these guys that we need to be winning, especially against teams like Portland who are chasing us in the standings. Um, and we need to be winning against everybody as much as we can right now too.
I
Kind
agree.
of kind of keep chasing Tri City down too. I think we're only a point behind them in the standings right now. So don't play them again until the annual New Year's Eve game, but then we kind of go out of the U.S. division for quite a while. So fun stuff coming up,
Wrap them up while you can.
and I guess we'll do our recap after our first 3-3 this coming weekend, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah. One thing I want to add in here too, just a little Chiefs knowledge, and maybe you knew some of this stuff. I didn't know. I didn't follow hockey nearly as closely as I do now. Heard Bruce Boudreau on NHL Network Radio today talking. They were asking about Jared Spurgeon when he was in Minnesota, and did you know how he got into the NHL? I mean, he didn't really get drafted. He was invited to rookie camp, and he did so well in rookie camp, and I guess just killed it, that they invited him to their main camp too. And then at the end of their main camp, they're like, "You need to give this guy a shot," and they gave him a shot to go. And the GM called Bruce Boudreau in and was talking about how, like, this kid's good. And he said, this kid's like 5'8", 145 at the time. And he goes, "You mean tell me this kid can play in the NHL?" And the guy said, "Yeah, he can."
Mm-hmm.
And they ended up playing games and then signed a contract and just kind of went from there. I didn't realize he was rookie camp and then immediately to the main camp and then made the team like that.
Yeah.
Pretty
So
impressive. And now he's been their captain for how many years now?
and he's had himself a hell of a career.
He has.
And I've always loved watching Spurgey play, and he was kind of the first undersized defenseman to really kind of make it, in my
Very much
opinion.
so.
Um, and he really kind of set the tone for a lot of these other smaller guys. Even we want to talk Chiefs like Ty Smith, and
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a ton of guys out there that are just so skilled offensively, but were kind of halted because of their height,
Mm-hmm.
and their size, and he kind of broke that barrier a little bit.
No,
Um,
Boudreau was talking about how his first outlet pass to get the puck up the ice, how good it is compared to so many other players out there. And that was one thing that got him looked at in rookie camp and then main camp too, was basically that first pass out.
mhm,
He says, always on the tape. It's always right to the guy.
mhm.
That size doesn't matter when you do that.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
And you see a lot of big guys out there that pretty much got to that where they're at because of their size and
Yeah.
everything too. That don't make nearly as close to much of an impact as guys like Spurgeon can.
Yeah. And he's
Um,
having a pretty good year now too. I think he's got
I have his elite prospects page pulled up. I'll show you.
his he's doing, I want to say he's got 19 points maybe.
He was hurt. He was hurt for the first couple
Well,
of
he
games
was
of the
out. He
season.
had 2 surgeries last year.
Yeah, he was out most of the year last year, but he was out for quite a while at the beginning of this season too. He's only played 18 games, but he's got 10 points, 3
10
goals,
points,
7 assists.
10 points in
Um,
19 games or something like that.
yeah. So if my memory serves me right, he was drafted in the 2008 draft, I believe, by the
Mhm.
Islanders in like the 6th round. Never
Oh,
ended up signing or playing with them, and then got invited to the
Minnesota's
Wild camp or whatever.
tryout camp,
Yeah.
I should say. Yeah.
Yeah. And we're talking about that. It's another thing that was talked about in the radio last night. Sage Weinstein kind of did something along those lines
Yes,
as
he
well
did.
with Colorado. Him obviously being a little bit younger. I think it was after Spurgeon's junior career was over that happened. But Sage Weinstein is taking a similar path right now. Went to their rookie camp, impressed. Went to their development camp, impressed. Went to their main camp, signed a contract.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that the smaller defenseman. I mean, Sage is a little bit different. He's a physical, stay-at-home kind of
Yes.
guy. Although I will say his offensive game has really taken a step up lately.
Yes.
Kid
First
looks a
goal.
lot more confident with the puck.
Yeah.
Hell of a shot by him the other night,
That
last
was
night.
nice.
Him and Van Olm getting the roommates getting fired up for each other, making it happen. So, um, yeah, good stuff. And that's a very true. That's a fun story about Spurgeon too.
Yeah. Yeah. It was very
Yeah.
nice.
You have anything else to add on?
I do not.
All right, I think we can wrap it up and get ready for our next 3-3 this weekend, and hopefully we can keep this winning streak going. It's nice watching good hockey.
Yes, it is.
Couple big games. All right,
Go Chiefs, go.
go Chiefs, go.